Welcome to the My Crazy Office podcast with the authors of Working With You Is Killing Me, Working For You Isn't Working For Me, and Mean Girls at Work, Kathi Elster and Katherine Crowley. They're committed to creating world peace, one crazy office at a time. And now, here are Kathi and Katherine.
Hey everyone, I'm Kathi Elster.
And I'm Katherine Crowley, and welcome to My Crazy Office.
So I'm really excited because we have two really interesting questions today. One about asking for a raise or asking for more money, just in general, asking for money.
Very important.
I know. It's a tough one for people. And the other one is about making a decision between two jobs, money versus purpose. Like, what's more important to you? So I'm excited about these questions.
Yeah.
Should we just go to it?
Sure, go ahead. Let's do. Logan, our producer.
I'm working on contract as a freelance social media strategist for a growing company, and my contract is coming up for renewal. I know that my employer is happy with the job that I'm doing, but I don't know how to ask for higher pay. When I looked up the standard rates for what I do, my rate is way below market value. At the same time, I took this job to get more experience. Any advice?
Yeah, I think this is a really good question. Asking for money, and renewing a contract, that's all really scary.
It is,
right? It's
yeah.
it's not something that, you look forward to.
Right. Well, you don't want to lose the contract.
Right.
And you don't want to be paid less than you think you may be worth.
Right. You don't want to have the conflict. But I think the worst that can happen is somebody is going to say no.
Yes.
I mean, that's really the worst that can happen. They usually don't fire you.
When you ask for more money.
Right.
It's true.
Although
Unless
sometimes
they're a little twisted.
Well, no, sometimes they do think, they're going to leave because I can't, we're not going to give them the raise. Like we've heard that from clients.
Yeah.
But that's if they're unhappy with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the trick, though, too, is when you take a job, a freelance job, and it may be a full-time job or an assignment, but when you take it for a low fee because you want the experience, it puts you in a little bit of a vulnerable position for then asking for the true market value.
Right. And everybody does this. Everybody takes jobs for the experience. I mean, we usually have an ulterior motive that that client's going to bring me other clients, or I'm going to do work for them that I can then sell to other people.
Right.
And there's a price for that. I mean, that's sort of an education that you're paying for.
Yeah.
But I have a couple of things that I, want to bring up. One is I think timing is really important.
In terms of the ask?
I was going to ask you that. I was like, is there an opportune time to ask somebody for a raise? You do it in the beginning of the year, in the middle, in the end?
Yeah,
When's
I
the best
think,
time?
well, everybody has to feel that out when the best time is. And it's usually not when they're walking around complaining about money. It's when maybe a big check arrived or a big contract came in for them and you know that they are feeling.
There's a win that's happened.
You're in a good mood.
Right.
Knock, knock, knock.
Hey, Dad, I see you got a new car. Can I drive it?
Can I piggyback? Yeah. So there's that timing, and then there's the also timing of the person you have to ask. You want to generally, ask them not when they're under pressure, but when they have the time to actually speak with you.
Yeah.
Right.
So you want to schedule an appointment.
I think
first
you
of all,
do,
right?
and I think you want to make sure that when you're in that meeting, even if it's scheduled, that they're not under pressure, that timing is right. Because people can react to this by their mood.
And do you let the person know? Do you say, I would like to schedule an appointment to just go over the contract? Or
You could let them know it's about the contract, not necessarily about the money. And if it's about a raise, you can say about my performance or about my review. But usually when you say, they may say, is that about your money? You can say, well, that's
You don't
probably
want to get
going
more money, do you?
They might come out, just come out with it.
You can say that's a piece of it.
Yeah.
I do want to speak about that. And then they can somewhat be prepared. I also think that you should come very prepared with the results that you've accomplished. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you want to show your value. They still might not perceive your value the same way you do, but you want to at least prepare yourself with all of that, all
Yeah.
of the proof of what you've accomplished. I also think it's really good to get your comps, like get comparable prices. I just did this for a client on salary.com.
Okay.
And when I showed her what the real going rate under that job description was in this area that she lives in, she was really underpaid. Now that doesn't mean
should they bring that to the meeting?
well,
too?
yes, but that doesn't
This is
mean,
what people who are also doing my job get paid, and this is what I'm
right.
getting
If I
paid.
were to leave, this is what I could expect. That doesn't mean this. She works for a mom and pop, so that doesn't mean that they're going to be able to afford it.
Sure.
But I think it gave her the knowledge that she really could ask for more money,
Right.
even if she just got a small percentage hike. It would be better than
Right.
nothing.
And perhaps you give a range too. People are
Right.
paid between this and this, and I'd
Right.
like to at least be making,
yeah,
even the lower range of standard
But
market.
it brings me to my next point. I think when you have that kind of knowledge, then you are more confident in your approach. And
Yeah.
so the ask it can come from fluster or sweating.
I can see why that would make people very nervous. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
also fear that you're being perceived as a threat if you're going to them with all of this information and saying, "This is what I could be making, and this is what I'm making."
Yeah. Well,
You don't want to rub them the wrong way. I guess it's also
Right,
in the
well-
way that you say and present what you're
Well, it
presenting.
all goes to you have to know these people and you have to know the timing.
That's right.
I'm just giving like lots of things you should be thinking about. You don't have to present them all. You have to know the character.
So I'd like to
great
go to
stuff.
some of the
Yes.
psychological because
Oh,
I think these are
please.
excellent tactics. One thing is that you need to know thyself. So if you know
Right,
that asking is tricky for you, I would either with a mentor, a coach, or a friend script it and
Yeah.
practice.
Right,
Practice
right. It should be
asking for more
practiced.
money.
Yeah.
And know that this is an ongoing conversation. That's something you've often explained to me, Kathy. There's a first conversation. Usually what we want is to come in and have it all done after a
Yeah, it's
5-minute
true.
meeting, right? But there's a first conversation, and it's very likely the employer will go away and have to think about it before they're able to give you an actual answer. So be ready for that this is a series, not
right. right.
you're
I-
signing up for a series of conversations.
Also in the world of negotiating, they say the first person who says a number loses.
Aha.
Interesting.
Yeah. So depending on how, I'm doing this with a guy who works in Wall Street, I'm insisting he doesn't throw out a number at all. Let the other guy come up with a number. But I think, I'm also coaching somebody who's in a lower position where she does have to throw out a number.
Right.
Well, you have to state your ceiling and your floor, right? Or at least what you're not willing to work less for less than.
Well, I think
You have to know that at least.
Catherine,
Yeah.
you mentioned before giving them a range.
Yes. Right, offering a range.
Offering a range.
But they're going to go for the lower end.
Well, that's what I mean. You have to
Okay.
know what your lowest
Yeah, you
end
have to
is.
know what your lowest
So
and
say this is my minimum.
Yeah.
yeah, because there's going to be some negotiation. It may not be as high as you want.
Well, here's the other thing is you have to be ready to go. If
This
it's
is
too
tricky.
Oh yeah, this is why people
Yeah.
sweat.
It becomes a debate now.
Yeah,
like
it's not
why
easy.
I'm worth.
Right.
Right, because the other thing is that people relate, and employers, depending also on the size of the company and the character you're dealing with. Like in some companies, they always have the CFO handle the negotiations for salary, and that person doesn't
May
give
not
money
know.
easily.
Okay.
Whereas you may think that the
true.
president is a pushover, and that person will give you what you want. This person will not, right?
And
So
one person may know your performance better versus the other person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there are a lot of factors involved, and especially when it has to do with freelance or contract or a company that hired you for experience, I think your best ace in the hole is to be looking for other opportunities where you do get paid market value. I mean, maybe you take that experience and use it to get the next better assignment.
Yeah, what's interesting about this client I just did this for is that this is her first job in this industry.
Right.
And even though she's more mature as a worker, she's not mature in the industry.
Yeah.
So she's being underpaid, but she's really getting her education.
Right.
Something that if she had entered this industry years earlier, at the age she is now, she could have been making a higher, but salary, but she's not from there. All right. So I want to go more about this confidence thing because this is really important that you have to really come off pretty confident because I'm not saying you want to threaten, but I'm saying you want to threaten.
Like it should be a sweet threat, really.
Sweet.
A kind threat.
Yeah, I mean, they need to know that you're serious, that you may leave.
Yeah.
I find that some companies cough up the money when they know you're leaving.
Or they know you have
counter
another job
offer.
option.
Yeah. That's sometimes when they cough up the money. So.
Yeah. This is all so
this
much work, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's really the hardest thing, and this speaks to get the right price when you first go. Because some industries you have to leave to get a raise.
Right. Well,
Right.
that's what I would say really is practice makes perfect, right? Because all these things you're talking about, Kathy, are things that you know well from working with people over time, right? The whole thing of being ready, knowing what the price ranges are, knowing what the market value holds, not giving out the first number. All those things have to do with that you're cool, calm, collected, and you either have an experienced person behind you, backing you and coaching you, or you are able to kind of pace yourself through this process.
Yeah, but you said something really important before, Catherine, which is to role play. I think it's really important that you role play with somebody.
Yeah.
And bring up all of the objections or dirty looks you think you're going to get so that you could be
Make
prepared.
it the worst possible scenario for yourself.
Right. It's usually never as bad as you imagine.
Right.
in the
I'd like
shower.
X dollars, you're fired. Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, see the door? You can go.
Right.
'Cause that money's not coming.
Yeah. So practice.
Yeah,
practice,
I mean, even though
practice.
the economy is better, I think it's it's hard to run a company. It's expensive and salaries are high.
But actually, this is the last point that I would like to make, which is you have to read the writing on the wall. If you take it personally, if your company is losing market share and you take it personally that they're not willing to give you a raise, that doesn't add up, so to
Right.
speak. So you have to look and see the general health of the company for which you are working. if
Well,
they're
that's
able.
true.
Bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really true. That's right.
Unhook.
Yeah, as they say, and
As we would say.
Yeah. All right, so why don't we just take a commercial break and then we'll be back with our second question.
Ever feel like you or your company could use a 20-minute therapy session? Well, K-Squared has your back. Simply download a K-Talk, plug in those earpods, or gather a group of your coworkers and feel better instantly. Well, almost. Each K-Talk covers a specific topic and costs a fraction of what a traditional therapy session would. Feeling stressed by your workload? There's a K-Talk for that. Working with someone who's done you wrong? There's a K-Talk for that. Can't ask for a raise, need a vacation, hate your boss? K-Talk, K-Talk, K-Talk. Just go to ksquaredenterprises.com and purchase the K-Talk that fits your situation. Now back to our show.
All right, Logan, what's our next question? I of course, we see these questions ahead of time. I love this
I'm
question.
all amped up from the first question.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You're not going to ask for a raise, are you?
I am not.
Thank God. There's your answer.
Sounds too difficult.
On the air, that would be the best.
You really.
Next episode, I'll come prepared with graphs and.
Right.
All right, next question. I need help making a decision. I recently got 2 job offers with 2 companies. One job would be higher paying, but the company seems very profit driven, more interested in making money than making a difference. The other job pays less, but it's with a company whose mission I really like.
Aha.
Yeah, see, this is a really interesting dilemma, and this goes to know thyself.
Yeah.
You have to know yourself. I mean, if you really only care about money, and I have many clients, it's about money, then that's fine. Then you go with the higher paying job. And not really be too concerned about the mission. I find that companies that are driven by profit make decisions based on profit. And those are not always the most humane decisions, or they're not mission-driven decisions. The mission is making money.
Yeah.
So if that's something you like and
That's a value for you, high value.
Right. But I mean, I think this person is asking this question because they're more mission-driven.
Yes. Right. It wouldn't be an issue, actually.
And actually, the employees that we work with that work in mission-driven companies always love that. That's why they work for them, because they are touched by the end user. They are motivated by what the organization does.
You know, actually, it reminds me of in our book, Working With You Is Killing Me, we have the last chapter is about culture, and if it's about, is this a cultural fit? And we have, there's a whole assessment, which, by the way, is online for free. You could download from our website, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So this is, if you were in this position where you have to make a decision, it'd be great to download and take an assessment of corporate culture. What is the right fit for you? Because if mission matters, then obviously taking a higher paying job, you're not going to be happy. I mean, that's one of the things we discovered, right? Is culture
Right.
is actually one of the most important ingredients for long-term job satisfaction.
My main concern with this person is if they choose this higher paying job, is their mental health and their emotional health
Right.
of working here after a long time. It's going to deteriorate. And there's a lot of people who are
Yeah.
unhappy at their job. At
Right.
Profit,
Right. Right. Well, I've seen that. I've seen people that get very accustomed to the high pay.
Yeah.
They,
Right.
they create a lifestyle around that high pay.
Golden handcuffs, I think they
Right.
used to
Yes.
call
And
it.
then they want to go to something more mission driven, but realize, how am I going to keep
Or
this
they
My
don't-
lifestyle.
Right.
So I think if you go for the high pay and that's not who you are, you will be miserable after a while because you'll be missing that mission piece. You'll be missing, why are decisions based on something I don't care for?
And yet you may feel pressure to go for the higher paying job, right? And especially,
course you are.
Totally, yeah.
right. Well, actually,
Societal
I'm thinking
thing, I think.
Yeah.
society, family, friends, peers. You never know. People may be encouraging you to go for that and just see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at people that in my family and even friends that assume I'm going to go for the money versus the making a difference.
Really?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
But that reflects their values.
It's
Right.
totally about
Their
their
values,
values,
not
and I realize
yours.
they don't know mine.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a dilemma. Right,
Which makes you resent them. No, I
well, I mean, should we now talk about my relationships? Because then we need an hour for that or more.
Separate segment for that.
Right.
Well, and it's tricky because you may want to have a high paying job in a company that has a good mission.
course you
that's
do.
a goal.
Of course you want that. You want both.
Don't be ridiculous. Of course you want that.
And it's ironic
In an
that
ideal
the companies
world.
Yeah.
well
No.
it's ironic that the companies that are doing really good work can't pay as well as the companies that are that are money driven.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something not right in that picture, but that's another show.
But it's not to say, I mean, if this person chooses the job that pays less, but they like the mission, maybe they'll get promoted, or maybe, they'll move up and they'll eventually be making a little bit more money than as they started, no?
Well, yeah,
could.
it's very possible. And then they'll have to get into question number one, how to keep asking for that money.
Yeah, exactly.
And question number two, is the company able to give you more money?
But what's interesting is that millennials, there's been a lot of studies done that millennials are more interested in companies that have a mission and are making a difference.
Yes.
So I think companies are going to have to shift their model also if they're going to want these younger workers to work for them.
Yeah. At least sound as if they are mission
Exactly. At least make believe that they have some.
Which brings us to another point, which is it's always important to find out the culture behind the culture.
Yeah,
Like
it's
before you take a job, even if it sounds like we're all wonderful here, we care about you, we always tap into our employees and find out how they're doing. Find out from someone who's been there for a while what the real culture is like.
Yeah.
I don't see, and
Some
I don't mean that in a
investigating.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
you
true.
really do. You need to. One needs to. Mm-hmm. And that's also because very often the most prestigious companies, they look good on the outside, but the inside is a little moldy.
Do you mean creepy and
Just a tad bit problematic is what I mean. Yes, it's
Right,
not quite
right.
as squeaky
I like
clean.
to say a rat's nest.
Deteriorating on it.
Yeah.
There are issues, let's just say that,
Yeah.
inside. So find out the culture behind the culture. In this case, it sounds like this person should go with their heart as opposed to their checkbook, if that's what matters most to you.
I
looks
mean,
like
if
they're
it's a
leaning more
salary that they can't even live, then that doesn't make sense.
Right,
But I'm not getting the impression that that's it. It's
Yeah.
just a difference.
Just less.
Yeah.
All right, so no flat screen TV, but she'll be, you'll be happy.
Watching on your
Just look out the
iPad.
window.
Watching on your phone.
Go for a walk. Live a little.
There's other things in
There's
life.
other things in life
All
besides the
right.
Super Bowl.
That's it. That's
All
it
right.
for this segment.
So we want to hear your experiences with salary and promotions and choosing jobs. Please tweet us at AskK2. And if you have any questions or stories you'd like to send to us, send them to us at info@mycrazyoffice.co.
My Crazy Office is produced in New York City at K Squared Studios. Stay crazy.